While it took some time, I have finally now seen My Truth, The Rape of Two Corys. And not only was it worth the wait, it reinstilled in me the same feelings I had before I finally got to see the film. No matter what happens with this film and this set of allegations, the fact that we are finally talking about protecting kids is all that really matters. Having said that, however, I found My Truth to be a riveting and highly credible documentary. The information presented is vital, and there are stories that back up most of the film's claims. I also have a theory regarding the biggest name that was finally spoken aloud not only by Corey Feldman, but a group of credible witnesses, including Keith Coogan and Christoph St. John. Normally, I would delve into that list of names later in my review. However, I know all of you who have not seen the film or found the list online already just want to know the names. So, let's go over the names first and get that child-touching elephant out of the room early. John Grisham was Corey Feldman's first abuser, and he worked as Corey's assistant on The Lost Boys, and had bit parts in Dream a Little Dream and License to Drive. Alfie Hoffman ran a nightclub for teenagers and is one of Corey Feldman's abusers. Alfie is the son of Bobby Hoffman, the head of casting at Paramount, where he worked on shows like Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, and Mork and Mindy. He also would later work for Disney and Fox, who were separate companies at that time. Corey F. also alleged in the documentary that Alfie was not Bobby's son so much as his lover. What is very odd is that stories and information on the Hoffmans is virtually non-existent. When you factor in the shows Bobby worked on, that's just downright odd. It's almost like someone out there does not want information on the Hoffmans in the universe. Marty Weiss is a talent manager who specialized in managing the careers of children, and he is another of Corey Feldman's abusers. Marty has been convicted of molesting one of his clients. In 2012, he served 6 months in prison, and ever since his release, he has been trying to lighten the laws and restrictions for convicted sex offenders. His biggest goal is to abolish the sex offender registry system. Bobby Hoffman, Alfie's father, has been named by Corey Feldman as one of Corey Haim's abusers. Bobby Hoffman passed away in 1994. Dominic Braska was a character actor throughout the 80s and 90s. Corey Feldman has named him as one of Corey Haim's abusers and confessed that he did introduce Dominic to Haim when Feldman was still a teenager and Dominic was well into his late 20s. Dominic Braska passed away in 2018. Now, for the biggest name, and yes, it is one that we were aware of, but it is one that has never been spoken aloud like this before. It is one thing to hear a single person indict Charlie Sheen as Corey Haim's first and most vicious abuser. It is another thing to hear details from multiple credible witnesses. Corey Feldman vividly details Haim's abuse by Charlie Sheen on the set of the 1986 film Lucas, and these claims are backed up not only by Feldman's ex-wife, but also actors Keith Coogan and Christoph St. John, who sadly passed away in 2019. There are details left out of the documentary that could also potentially back up these claims. Actress Denise Richards, who was married to Charlie, alleged in her divorce documents that Sheen had an obsession with watching porn featuring boys that either looked or were underage. Now, if the boys in those videos were of age, that is not a crime in of itself, but it does show a potential pattern. Denise also alleged that Charlie threatened to cut off her head during a heated argument. And more recently, she has stated that Charlie is trying to bleed her dry from legal fees by refusing to pay child support for their kids, which Denise has sole custody of. Next up, we have actress Selma Blair, who worked alongside Charlie in the show Anger Management on FX. This was Charlie's comeback after being fired from 2.5 Men. Miss Blair worked on the show for the majority of its run, but midway through the series' production, Charlie demanded that the production fire Mrs. Blair due to her vocalizations about Charlie's menacing on-set behavior and his lack of a professional work ethic. It was not too long after her dismissal from the show that she was accused of having mental health-related issues and was even vilified by the media from suffering from a mental health crisis.
Ah, crap. Since when did they change the meaning of for to from?
I think they had a meeting about it last night.
Why wasn't I told?
They sent you a card, but it said for Peter on it, so you must have thought it was from you, so you didn't, it's just easier to call you stupid.
That could have been a result of her encounters with Charlie. While this might not prove much on its own, it does show a pattern of behavior, and when you factor in Charlie's abusive behavior towards women, his battle with drugs and alcohol, and that whole winning fiasco, then it does paint the picture of a very disturbed individual who could very well have done the things he is accused of. Beyond the list of names and accusations, the film features some very frank discussions regarding the two Corey's sexual experiences, and I am not referring to the sexual assaults they endured. Something we rarely hear discussed is how sexual assaults affect a child's view on sexuality and how they express it. In the documentary, Feldman goes into detail regarding Haim's sexual behavior as a result of his trauma. When the two Coreys first met to hang out before shooting The Lost Boys, they had a blast doing all the normal shit two teenage boys would do. They hung out, talked about girls, and played football on the beach. Then when the two Coreys were hanging out in one of their bedrooms, Corey Haim started undressing and talking to Corey Feldman about all kinds of sexual activities that go way beyond boys talking about girls. From that point, Haim started masturbating and then suggested that he and Feldman fooled around. Feldman was like, "With who? It's just us here." And Haim told him, "With each other." To which Feldman responded, "But I'm not gay." And Haim told him, "Neither am I. It's just a normal thing boys do. It's called the Boys Club." That was when Feldman asked, "Who told you that?" And that was the first time Haim told him about Charlie. Some people may cringe hearing about Haim's sexual exploration. Some may see nothing wrong with discussing it at all. But I would like to point out that these discussions are in fact vital. While sex is normal, beautiful, and totally healthy, and two kids exploring their sexuality and sexual expression is actually a rite of passage and a healthy activity, but when an adult coerces a child, it affects them in a much different manner. It has to do with trust. A kid trusts another kid, and there's something innocent about the two kids discovering sexuality and sexual expression on their own. It's healthy and natural. However, when an adult or even an older kid coerces a younger child, the innocence and beauty in the act is surrounded by a dark cloud. See, kids trust those older than them differently, and it's a violation of that trust that is most damaging. Now, if an older child is abusing a younger child, odds are that older child was abused as a young child too, and that is why they see nothing wrong with coaching a child to do something they would not normally or naturally do. These discussions, in conjunction with the film's examination of the effect of childhood abuse and the credible witness accounts of Haim and Feldman's abuse, paint a picture that does not need to be true to be vital. See, I know there are those who will not just take my or the film's word for it. And those who question what they hear are the smart ones. I mean, you are smart asses, and that gets really fucking annoying, but you are the smart ones. We should question everything. And that is why I'll throw all those who think Corey Feldman is full of shit a nice juicy bone. Hey now. Not that kind of bone. For one moment, let's pretend that this documentary is nothing but a lie. What about all the other stories of kids being abused in Hollywood? This is a discussion that must happen. I support the Me Too movement because no one should be abused, but an adult can totally decide if fucking some fat hairy pig is worth starring in a kick-ass blockbuster and becoming an A-lister. What I am saying is that while that is wrong, an adult can make a business decision and decide if they want to take a ton of cold showers on the way to the top. A child is not capable of making that choice. Furthermore, the child is not even given a fucking choice. Literally. They are coached and coerced until they have no choice and are at the mercy of someone who should be protecting that child. If you are older or more experienced than someone, you should look out for them, not inside of them. And it's okay to laugh at those jokes. This is a tough subject. This is a horrible subject. But it is one we need to discuss, and finding a way to laugh away the horror does not make light of this disgusting and tragic situation. It is simply how we keep our sanity and hope in a world that seeks to destroy innocence and hope. Which is why, even if Corey Feldman just did all this for attention, I don't fucking care! I don't. I would gladly pay this man knowing it was all a lie and a scam. Do you know why? Because if we can get our heads around Charlie Sheen raping Corey Haim, then we have let open the door to realize that the kids who entertain and give our life joy and even meaning are in danger. Hollywood is a beautiful place. I will never think it is pure evil, because no matter the evil done there will always be immense good coming from so many talented people who put their hearts and souls into creating something to make the world a little brighter. And that beautiful Hollywood dream is not just a dream, and that is why this story matters so much. If we do nothing, though, it will become nothing but a faded dream. Kids should always come first. Me Too needed to happen, but it should have been kids first. Why do we never put children first? Why does it have to be kids too? Why have kids been left behind to be raped behind 2 trailers with Crisco for lube? Because that is what happened to Corey Haim, and while you are free to doubt this story, I do not. And for all we know, there could be more victims out there. Victims who are too afraid to tell their story. Stories that do not include, "Well, we were making out on the couch and he slipped his hand up my skirt, and while I felt totally violated, I never said no. But now I know I was raped and I want to kill that bastard's career." We are right to be skeptical of certain types of stories. And while kids can say the darndest shit, when an adult tells you, "Hey, when I was a kid shooting The Wizard of Oz, the Munchkins kept sticking their little hands up my yellow brick road. And all I could think was, there's no place like home, there's no place like home, there's no place like home." You should probably think, holy shit, we have to do something about this.
Taking over the light now. All there is to be said has been said. story start from this moment here. This is a call to arms. This is a call to arms. You know, this is a call to arms. This is a call to arms. You know. My heart beats dry. Stolen words are now mounted words on walls. I let the quiet light in shadow fear. Now the lies taking over. This is a call to arms. This is a call to arms. You know. This is a call to arms. This is a call to arms. You know. This is a call to arms. This is a call to arms. You know. This is a call to arms. This is a call to arms. You know. This is a call to arms. This is a call to arms. You know. This is a call to arms. This is a call to arms. You know. Let it out, or we'll burn to the ground. Let it out, or we'll burn to the ground.